What's up, guys? I am back again. This time I'm going to be recovering my Aerolite. The entire time I've been flying it, the fabric has been degrading. It was pretty rough when I got it. You can see there's a lot of patches back here. The glue is separating on them, and there's some spots where there was some abrasion, and the fabric is really just starting to fall apart. I probably wouldn't pass a punch test, so I decided to ground it until I figured out something I could do. And here you can see where it's separating. Here's another example. Anyway, so I'm going to recover this today. Scored a set of sails that have only been flown once and coincidentally crashed one time. They need a few repairs, but they are in much better shape than the ones I've been using. First, I'm gonna go ahead and scrape some of this ice off so I can get to my truck and carry in all my tools and whatnot and not bust my bunch. It's a couple inches here. We had a bad ice storm. Anyways, without further ado, let's get to it. I'm gonna carry everything in here and start disassembling the Aerolite. And we're off to the races. I started pulling off all the control surfaces first. They seemed like the easiest thing to remove and to begin to recover. I kind of had this idea in my head that they were going to be my practice pieces before I got to the big bad wings. Turns out that the control surfaces and the tail surfaces were a lot more work than the wings. The wings were super easy. I'm loving this. You better get your drill charged up if you're going to be doing this, because there are a lot of rivets to drill out. This must be recent, because I inspect all the control surface attachment points prior to each flight. I'm kind of unnerving to find stuff like that. That being said, I doubt I was ever in any danger, as it was definitely recent, and the other two rivets were perfectly tight. Good thing we have redundancy there. Losing stuff, dropping things, it's pretty typical. And if you haven't by now, please like and subscribe. Feel free to put some comments down there, that helps me out as well. I always love interacting with you guys, and come see me down at LK. I like seeing you at the airfield. Now that that's taken care of, let's get these sails swapped out. On to the next montage. So this took up the bulk of my time. Man, I spent a couple of days doing this. There was just a lot of little piddly things to take care of and details to work out, and a lot of rivets to install and drill, and I didn't want to leave the old rivets in, so I had to fish them all out of those tubes. And as I'm pulling these apart, you can see the two skinny tubes in the center of each surface. If I was to do this again, I would most certainly buy a stick or two of that material, cut it all the length, and not attempt to drill out the old rivets. The problem with the old rivets is they are a high shear strength, hardened steel mandrel closed-end rivet. And if you don't know what that means, it means that the rivet does not lose the mandrel when it breaks off. It retains it. I'm assuming it adds to its strength because it also makes them nearly impossible to drill all the way out. Now, typically, when rivets are only holding two thin pieces of material together, you drill out the top part of the rivet and the bottom half falls into the tube. But how these are held together, those tubes have rivets inside of them, so the rivet kind of expands evenly in the tube, and you have to drill out the entire thing, including that hardened mandrel. And I ate up a ton of drill bits. I eventually figured out that I could take a punch and pound the rivet in, or a portion of it, to save myself some time and stress, but I really wish I would have had a piece of that material laying around, and if I had thought about it ahead of time, here I am with the time I have to get this job done, so I may do with what I've got. Just drilling out some more rivets. Alright, now I'm on the home stretch, and I'm just going to go through and poke some new holes in the fabric wherever they need to be, pop in a bunch of rivets, get this here vertical stabilizer covered, and I'll be all set. Alright, and let's get to doing the wings here. I really enjoyed this part. It went very smoothly. Pulling the ribs out was pretty easy for the most part. There was a couple that I struggled on, but no big deal. I didn't have to cut the fabric up to get it off, so I can retain it and maybe try to make my own set later. And here I'm just gonna prop the wings up so I can remove the wing struts. Here you can see me pulling out the upper wing ribs. They all came out really easily except for the second to last inside one. Not quite the inside one, but the one just outboard of that. There's a diagonal tube that bridges the gap between the front and rear wing spars. And it's just kind of in the way for the upper rib to come out. Going in, it offered me no problems later on. I just popped it in. A little extra resistance, but outside of that, wasn't even an issue. But coming out, I started to bend the first one, so I decided that I would cut a slot in the top of the fabric right behind the wing rib and just kind of fish it out of there through the hole. And even though my airplane kind of looks like Eeyore and depressed, I was getting excited, and I just decided that I would dump all these rivets out of the wing spars before I put the wing covering on, because all I need is for them to vibrate into my prop later. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the main event. I struggled quite a bit with this side because there's some hooks on the straps and all the latches were on this side, so it hung up on every single thing that they could along the way, but I struggled my way through it and eventually got it on. And it was right about this time I could really start to see how much better my airplane was going to look. Alright, let's prop this back up and shove these things on real hard. You know I'm getting serious now, my shirt's coming off. Not gonna lie, this was a bunch of work, holding these wings over my head for a while and yanking on them super hard. At first wasn't too bad, but pretty quickly I got warmed up, and by the end I was fairly exhausted. Now that I have the sails on, I'll stretch the wings out, and I can start getting the ribs put in. Like I said, putting the wings together was a pretty smooth process, so now I'm just going to get these wing struts put on, the jury struts, and then I'll start assembling the tail. And as I add the horizontal stabilizer, you can see that this really starts to come together and look like an airplane again. Aerolite's really easy to work on. Everything goes pretty smooth from here. So let's get to it. And she's on her own 2 feet again. Control surfaces go on even easier and faster than the horizontal stabilizer and the whole tail assembly, so I'm going to fly right through this. And this is the final piece. Once I get the rudder put on, I do have some cleanup work to do and some things to safety wire, zip tie, etc. And there is the final product. I think it looks pretty nice with the little yellow details. I had to retain the yellow wing gap seal, so I went ahead and used the covers for the aileron and flap control cables and painted the nose to match best I could. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to comment. Like I said, I love to interact with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.